Welcome to the Black Entrepreneur Experience podcast, inside the business, buzz, and brilliance of Black entrepreneurs. Here is your host, Dr. Frances Richards.
What happens in Vegas goes all over the world on Black Entrepreneur Experience, episode 55. Thank you for joining us for Black Entrepreneur Experience. This is where we shine the light on the most successful Black entrepreneurs in the world. I'm your host, Dr. Frances Richards, and I am so honored today to have with us Tony McIntosh. And he is the managing consultant at McIntosh LLC. And they work with startups, corporations, and limited liability company owners, providing small business management consulting, tax, and accounting services in all 50 states. Welcome, Tony.
Thank you.
You know what? I have given our audience a very brief snippet about your company. Why don't you fill in the gaps and share with us what you'd like us to know about your company and your business?
Sure. McIntosh is a limited liability company, and I organized McIntosh LLC in 2011. Now, as you said before, the company provides four major services, and that is management consulting, tax, accounting, and registered agent services to corporations and limited liability companies. The management consulting generally consists of business analysis, growth projections, and implementation if necessary. And of course, tax and accounting speaks for itself. If you don't know what a registered agent is, every company requires by law, company, limited liability company or corporation requires by law that they have a registered agent receive legal documents on behalf of the company. And McIntosh LLC provides that service. That's it, Frank.
So tell us, how did you decide that this was the business for you, Tony?
Well, I've been a consultant for a long time. And I like to say that I didn't decide to be a consultant. It kind of chose me. I was with a long distance carrier back in early 2000. And eventually we sold the company off. So a number of executives who I knew in the long distance carrier industry asked me, specific questions about how we structured the company. And I structured the company so that we could protect the assets and the officers, et cetera. So I put the company in three different layers. And it's called protection layers. We had assets in one company, management in another, and other things, other business, staff, et cetera, in another company. It's called protection in layers. As I said before, execs in the long distance carrier industry started to call me and ask questions about why I set things up the way I did. And then I decided, I'm going to bill you guys for this. So I made up some cards, shot them out to every exec that I knew, and then all of a sudden I was consultant. I didn't plan, organize, structure as I normally do for companies today, but it just sort of chose me.
So tell us, with your expertise, Tony, what is something that a small business owner don't know that you think that they should know? Drop a really value bomb to our audience for that.
Well, in a startup, certainly analyzing your industry or the industry that you're plan to get into, and projecting 1, 3, and 5 years is what I find to be lacking in the startup industry. Now, if you're already in business and you simply want to expand or grow your business, create a new revenue stream. Again, the financial projections are necessary, and you put that into place.
So tell us, Tony, how do you define success personally?
I'm kind of a serial entrepreneur. I've organized and structured businesses for sale, et cetera. But my core competency is business advisory. Success comes in several different forms, I believe. If you gain financial freedom, if that's what your goal to success is, I mean, that's certainly successful. If you are doing what you love, that's in my opinion success as well. But what I enjoy is helping companies start up and grow. I mean, nothing gives me more satisfaction than a startup, put them on the train track, give them a push, and then assist them along the way until they are successful on their own.
So based on your definition of success, how long did it take to manifest in your own life?
Well, I have to admit that I started advisory and consulting in 2011. 2001, and moving right along successfully. And when the recession hit, I took a major hit and I had to restart. So I got into I fell back on my legal experience, went to work at a law firm and did some collections, et cetera, for several years into the industry, until the recession, until the economy started to, gain some footage again. And then I decided, okay, I wanted to get back into helping people in business and growth.
So what is the biggest challenge you face today being an entrepreneur?
Well, I think that keeping the client pipe full, okay? And what I mean by that is, I'll give you an analogy. If you water the grass with your water hose and you pinch off that hose and the front end of the water runs out, then you release that hose, nothing comes out for a while. Okay. So what that means is that you have a break in income when you still have overhead. Okay. And, so keeping that client pipe full is a challenge for me in my business.
So why don't you share with our audience, Tony, what is a daily or a weekly habit that you do consistently that has given you the greatest success?
What I do daily is I stay in contact. Again, I'm going back to my client base. My warm client base, I'm constantly making contact with my warm client base. And it's called client retention. We're all familiar with that. And that's most important because your client base then makes referrals and it allows for business growth. Although I do utilize social media, et cetera, and traditional marketing to bring in new clients, most of my time is spent contacting and staying in contact with my warm client base, my current client base.
So what is a lesson you wish you would have known before starting your own business?
Well, I'd have to go back to 2001 and say that if you recall how I said that business advisoring and consulting chose me. I wasn't full. It chose me, and I had initially had a client base, but I didn't learn until later that I needed to keep that pipeline full, because the analogy that, if you go back to the analogy that I gave earlier, when you pinch off that water hose and then the front end of the water runs out, now you have a gap in your pipe, and then it takes a while to refill that pipe. And that's what it took. Had I known that initially, I probably would have been successful sooner than later.
So how do you keep your pipeline full? What does that entail day to day take us through one day, because you did talk about your client base. That is like very key. So are you doing the client base, the retention piece? Are you doing that 50% of the time and then keeping your funnel full? Is that 50% of the time? So take us on the journey in a day of Tony's business.
75% of the time I'm contacting my warm base. I have an extensive warm base. So I spend 75% of my time maintaining contact and retaining clients, answering questions, et cetera, et cetera. And it proves to be very successful because referrals in this business, in my business, it's extremely important. As I said before, I use traditional marketing, very little mailing. I target my mailings to people, businesses that I've researched. I no longer send out, like I did years ago, send out bulk mail and hopefully something will stick. It's a targeted effort now in mailings. There's social media, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, and, the old, pick up the phone and give the client a call is always best. I don't do any cold calling anymore. I did that many years ago, but I understand that some businesses have to utilize cold calling, but I no longer use that method.
And you talked about 75% of the time you're spending on your retention, retaining your clients, your warm base. Is there any out-of-the-box method that you're using that you're doing in reference to staying in touch with your clients, other than you did mention pick up the phone, but are you doing something different, like sending them flowers or on their birthday sending them a card? Or is there anything specific that you're doing other than the phone calls, which is very important because a lot of us are not even doing the phone calls? So just looking at any kind of strategies that you're doing to stay in contact with your warm base that you think is an out of the box strategy.
Well, it's not out of the box. It's very simple. Email is a wonderful thing. So newsletter via email, promotions via email to my warm base has so far been successful. I've conducted surveys. They said most flyers they might keep it on their desk for a bit and then eventually it'll be tossed. But just a monthly newsletter, and sometimes if I have a promotion or a golfing or something like that, then I'll send out a special email to the warm market base.
So, Tony, what's working well for you now in your business?
You mean in terms of what?
In terms of your success. What is something that you're doing right now that you think is working well for you in your business? Okay.
Well, yes. As I said, I do attend some mixers, and they're targeted mixers, and with the hope of meeting someone to do business with. But yes, it's just there's nothing special about what I do. It's not rocket science. It requires a lot of time and effort and preparation. But I have almost 1,000 clients that I deal with, and email, social media, following me on LinkedIn, et cetera, et cetera. That's it. Nothing special.
So, Tony, tell us, who are your top 2 influencers in life, and what lessons do they teach you?
Well, I do have a mentor currently, and I think everyone should have one. In fact, I have a couple of mentors because they specialize in certain areas. One mentor is a business mentor, and the other is like a life coach. He's a friend of mine, and so I'm able to consult with those brilliant individuals regularly, whether it's playing golf or buy them lunch or dinner or whatever. But yeah, those two individuals are my influencers.
And what lessons do they each teach you?
Sure. In business and in leadership in business and management in business is crucial. And the intent is to manage, be able to manage if you don't have people in position, but to be able to manage every aspect of the business. And that's not everyone doesn't have that ability. But so if you're weak in one area, then you want to certainly have a mentor or a coach to advise you, or a consultant to advise you in certain areas that you're weak in. It's very important also to put a team of experts around yourself. If you're the leader of the firm or whatever, you want to have a good ops manager. You want to have certainly a finance and accounting expert. You want to have legal and IT. Those are my main. Of course, those are the main areas of business and marketing. I didn't fail to mention marketing. So I'm able to tap into those resources on a daily basis as well.
We hear that a great deal on this podcast about mentoring and having a mentor. And you mentioned one of the individuals, or both, maybe friends. How do you find a good mentor, and what are the qualifications someone should look for? If someone in our audience is saying, okay, this is resonating with me, I do need to get a mentor, what are some of the attributes or characteristics you tell them to look out for?
Well, I'll have to be honest. I didn't go out looking for my mentors. It just sort of happened, and we clicked in personalities. And it just so happened that one individual was experienced in business, was successful, and experienced. That's very key, because you have people who are in business who want to part with information, but it may not be information that will make you successful. And, on the personal side, again, as an old friend, we played sports together and just stayed friends forever. And we talk about different things, and, I respect his opinion. He respects mine. But I didn't go out seeking, a mentor. Now, if that's the case, and then you certainly, and depending on the kind of business you're starting, then certainly you want to seek a mentor who is experienced in what you plan to do.
So let's shift gears for a moment. Take us to that moment in time, which was the worst moment for you in business. I know that you talked about earlier in the conversation when we went through the downsizing and the recession. And I don't know if that is the worst moment in business for you. So just share with our audience, what happened in that time? Tell us about that story, and how did you recover?
Well, yes, I guess it was right around the bottom of the recession, I lost 75% of my client base. Many of them who I had on retainer were actually calling and asking for their retainers. And so I made contact with, it's important to have associates who you can lean on and ask questions and receive help from. And I happen to have a friend who passed the state bar here in Nevada. And I was living in San Diego at the time, San Diego, California. And so he said, I called him, said, hey, what's going on? We're old friends. And he says, well, just passed the bar. We're going to start up a new law firm, and we're going to do some collection. He says, come on out and help us with that and to get your footing, and then we'll see where it goes from there. So that was it was a tough decision for me because I was a single dad at the time, and I had to, my real estate, my home bottomed out. Everything was kind of going upside down. So I went ahead and made that transition, came here, and was able to claw my way back up, and now I'm back to a point where, okay, now I can provide the services that I like to provide, and that is business management and consulting.
So, Tony, talk to a younger you. What advice would you give to a younger Tony?
Well, wow, that's a very good question. I think that it's a very good question. I wouldn't really change anything. I think that I would be more. I was kind of stubborn as a young kid, and so I thought I knew more than I really did. So when you have that kind of a personality, people shy away from you, and you tend to lose opportunity when you push people away with that kind of an attitude. So it was an attitude adjustment that was needed. And so, yeah, if I had to tell myself, give my younger self some advice, it would be, hey, change your attitude and accept advice and information and utilize it. Don't push it away.
So how did you get that? What was that aha moment that you realized that you needed to adjust your attitude, and how long did that take for you to open up those possibilities?
I mean, I was looking back on my career. I was active duty military, and I look back on my career after I got out of the military, and I thought if I would have did things a little different there, it would have been probably a better opportunity for me. But I didn't. It's hard to say. Hard to say exactly when I changed my attitude. But I would have to say that it was sometime after the military. So,
Tony, how do you balance or blend your personal life, your family life with your business life?
Sure. I involve my wife in my business as well. We talk about everything, and I tell her about my business, and she's not in my business, but she knows of it. And so that gives us a lot of topics, things to discuss. I consult her on decisions that I want to make. And she, even though she's not in the business, she surprisingly provides really good insight. And so that helps.
So is there a technology tool or a technology platform that is a must-have for you in managing your business day to day?
Yes. My mobile phone is my life string. And I can do a lot of processing, et cetera, via my phone. All of my appointments are there. And of course, my phone is connected to my network. But yes, without my mobile phone, I have a very difficult time managing the things that I do on a daily basis.
So what book, Tony, would you recommend to our audience, and why?
There's a number of resources there and out there, and it depends on what area you want to practice your industry in. To be honest, I can't really think of one book that I would refer anyone to. It's just depending on the subject and going from there.
So what are your goals for the future with your brand and your business? I'm sorry, can you repeat that? Yeah. So what are your goals for the future for your brand and your business? I just want to continue to offer and continue offering the services that I provide. And at some point, the goal, I have a certain goal that I want to reach, and that is be able to provide services across the nation. That's my ultimate goal.
but I have, of course, intermediate goals, and it requires baby steps. So I think that, the ultimate goal is to be able to provide my services across the nation. And I'm focused on California at this right now. And, that's it.
And so if you had to do it all over again, would you do the same business and the same industry? And if yes, why?
Well, yes. Business. I enjoy business. I enjoy startups. I guess down deep inside, I like helping people and providing information to them and helping them start up and grow. And that's it in a nutshell. I like helping.
So what do you do, Tony, when you hit a bump in the road? How do you adjust and reset?
Yeah, I just analyze I go back to the basics that my business provides. And that is, I'll analyze the matter, then I'll plan and structure, organize, and implement. I'll go back to the beginning, back to basics.
So you mentioned when you had started your business prior to coming to the state of Nevada, you were in California, and you've been in Nevada for a minute now. Is this the best state for you to have launched your business? I know that you're wanting to branch out to California, and what you know today, the state of Nevada, was that the best state for you to actually launch and to manage your business?
Well, that's a good question. Nevada is a business-friendly state, and many companies want to be a Nevada company. It's either Nevada or Delaware, because those two states are the most business-friendly states. Now, and every state has its advantages and disadvantages. Knowing that Nevada is business-friendly, it's a smaller in terms of people and business. It's smaller than, let's say, California. And so in terms of starting up, I found that I was successful faster in California than I am here in Nevada. I mean, and then I had a launching pad as well. If you remember the story, there was a launching pad. Here, I started from ground zero, and that is, putting the business, structuring the business, preparing a marketing plan, and then putting a team around me. That's from ground zero. California was a little different. People were calling on me. So it just kind of felt, backdoor my way into a advisory position.
So when you talk about dealing with startups, and a question a lot of people want to know is about capital.
Yes.
So how did you raise the capital for your business? Did you bootstrap it, family, friends? Tell us about that.
Well, surprisingly, being a consultant doesn't require much startup, but it does require time and effort and preparation, because in consulting and business advising, you can start on the high end, and that is use financial sources to get an office, et cetera, and then start out in debt. But you don't have to do that. You can start from home like I did. Put in your network, have an IT, or you can easily prepare your own website, and make it user friendly, et cetera, and network all of your IT tools, and then do what I call pounding the cement, and that is find hit mixers, get your lists of targets, strategic targets, and not just any target, and start contacting those people and marketing in, social media and some mailers, et cetera, et cetera. So you can start out very, very inexpensively as an advisor or a consultant. You just have to be subject matter expert in what it is you're consulting.
So Tony, tell us, if you conducted this interview, what is the one question that you would have asked yourself? And I would like you to answer that question.
Well, I think you've covered pretty much everything that I can think of. We've covered the operations, the finance, and actually starting up a business. And quite frankly, I'm at a loss of words.
See there, you're giving me the goosebumps because it's like I've asked you all the questions, so that's good.
Can't think of anything else to go over.
No, thanks for that. What, if anything, would make you stop?
Well, I was talking to one of my mentors, and I said, well, I'm going to go for another 8 years. And then I think I can go another 8 years and then just stop. So retirement would be the stopping point. I think I answered your question there.
So being a person that deals with startups and businesses, what is your exit strategy? Do you put that in place at the 5-year mark of when you're going to exit a year out? What would you think would be the logical strategy for an exit strategy? So you know that you're going to retire in 8 years. At what point do you start looking at that exit strategy?
Yeah, I've seen companies fail because they didn't have exit strategies. But initially, you should put in place an exit strategy because while you're projecting 1, 3, and 5 years, which it used to be just a 3-year projection, but I put in 1, 3, and 5 so you can evaluate and see where you're going to be and whatever. And I think that an exit strategy should be put in place right around the time that you're planning and structuring and organizing the business.
So, Tony, share with our audience a parting piece of advice that you want to offer.
Well, my advice would be just to, as I've said it probably 2 or 3 times in business. Before you waste any resources, time, money, or whatever, part of that is to analyze what it is you're going to do. And I'm not talking about taking a month of analysis or whatever. Online, there are many resources for getting an analysis. You can purchase an analysis of a business, of a business industry, or whatever. But make sure that you have at least a 90% chance of being successful in your business and your business idea. And a part of that, of course, is making sure that people want your widgets. You may believe you have a great idea, but without analysis, it may not be worth what you think. And so that's it.
So, Tony, we've come to the part of our podcast where we do the Fun Facts Lightning Round, and I'll ask you a series of questions, and I want you to give me very quick answers. If it's something that you desire not to answer, feel free to say pass. Are you ready for the Fun Facts Lightning Round?
Okay, I'll give it a shot.
All right. Tony, the last movie you saw?
The Founder, starring Michael Keaton.
You relaxed?
The story is about...
No.
I'm sorry?
No. That's good.
Yeah, the story's about Ray and Joan Kroc, who made McDonald's the empire that it is today. The movie's very inspiring, and I've watched it twice, and I think I'm going to watch it again.
You relaxed doing what?
I said I've watched it twice, and I think I'll watch it again.
No, the next question. You relaxed doing what?
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Misunderstood you.
That's okay.
I relaxed having a cigar, a glass of wine, watching, all the Star Trek movies. I'm a Trekkie.
And your favorite singer or rapper?
Singer or rapper? Well, let's see. I have a Oh God, I have three singers that I like. I like Ella Fitzgerald, Michael Jackson, and Whitney Houston. But if I had to pick one, I'd have to say Whitney Houston has the best pure voice I've ever heard.
And your favorite dance song?
Let's see, the OJ's "Forever Mine." That was a song that my wife and I danced to at our wedding.
That's beautiful. What food do you eat every week, no matter what?
Every day, vegetables.
And your favorite month?
December.
Okay. Tony, thank you so much for spending time with us at Black Entrepreneur Experience. But before we conclude, we would like you to share with our audience what is the best way for the audience to connect with you and to support your business.
Sure. We have a website, and that is McIntosh LLC.net. Our phone number is area code 702-622-7699. And my direct email is tony@McIntoshLLC.net.
Tony, thank you so much. That's a wrap.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening and subscribing to Black Entrepreneur Experience. We would love for you to leave a review and rating on iTunes and share with your friends. For show notes and more episodes, go to www.beepodcast.com. Join us next Wednesday, and remember, green is the new black. So keep your bank accounts and your business in the black.